Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm traveling today and I'm so excited that by the um, gift of technology, we're still able to connect and gather together. So, here is something that um, here's something that Greta Hausler said about her understanding of what Bruno Groening taught. Hmm? We, human beings, were sent here on this earth to learn where all the evil and dirt is concealed. It is masked, camouflaged, and is very difficult to recognize. It's a great challenge in one's life to learn to distinguish between good and evil, to see where evil is hidden. Both are so close together and look alike. When one is careless and does not pay attention, one does the wrong thing subconsciously. One must therefore pay attention and want to live consciously. Then much will be recognized. Bruno Groening spoke about the power of habit, the force of habit, and I experienced it so well this morning. What happens when one doesn't pay attention? I was making a number of plans with someone, and I was in a hurry, and they had just woken up, and I was just kind of not being present. As Greta Hausler here, I wasn't really paying attention. I was just kind of da 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 da, and it just created some bumps. And so this is just a little thing. And as she pointed out, when we're not paying attention, when we're not being present, we don't behave well. And why? Bruno Groening gives us a very clear answer. Because two reasons. We're operating, excuse me, we're operating from the force of habit. And when we're not connected to God, we're connected to what's not good. We're literally connected to evil. Or we can become easily connected to evil. Let me say it that way. And then we don't behave well. And then things don't go well. And that is why I believe Bruno Groening called us to, he said, observe your body more and more every day, every hour, every minute, every second is calling us to be present. As Greta Hausler so simply put it, to pay attention. And those are Bruno's instructions for tuning in. Pay attention to your body. Observe your body. When we do that, I instantly know when something doesn't feel right. Like when I was making these plans in a hurry this morning, I was like, something feels wrong. But I was just too much in a hurry. I caught it a little bit. And then right afterwards, I was like, oh, wait, I was in a hurry, and I reached out to the person to apologize immediately. So this is a path of Bruno said to call yourself to order. We're calling ourselves to order in every aspect, thought, word, and deed. And it's humbling. This is a school. We're not going to do it perfect every time. I'm not going to do it perfect every time. I haven't met anyone who can. And the more we pay attention, the less mistakes we make, the more present we are, then the less we get caught up in habit. The more we pay attention to our thoughts, then we can discern right thought, wrong thought, and only take in the good. So let's actually do that now. Let's take in the good. Let's hand over all burdens, all worries, fears, illnesses to your idea of God, a higher power, or to a spiritual helper you trust, such as Bruno Groening. Again, releasing fears. And then think of something that makes you joyful, that makes you smile. And then begin to observe the body, having the will, the intention to take in good healing energy. Once again, noticing what you feel, paying attention to your body, desiring, wanting to take in good life energy. Taking in the good, paying attention to your body. Being mindful of our thoughts, handing over negative thoughts. Welcome, everyone. Hi, Germana. Welcome to everyone joining in. So, this is a moment by moment path. When I first learned about these teachings, I thought it was I go to community hour, I tune in a couple times a day, I hand things over to Bruno, everything's good. And that was a great beginning. And Bruno Groening calls us he said, I want you all to become masters of life. That's not a little thing to become a master of life. It sounds complicated, but Bruno's instructions are so simple. Pay attention to your body. Have faith in the good. Reflect on your actions, your thoughts. At the end of the day, reflect on your day. What did you do that wasn't harmonious? When you find those things, regret them, firmly determined to do better. Turn to the one who has all power and all knowledge and all wisdom, and receive strength and inspiration and guidance from God. Not complicated ideas, not always simple to live. I found that out this morning. I was just excited. I'd been meditating. I had all these ideas. Called up my friend, and I was just like, da 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 da. How's that sound? This person had just woken up, um, and in hind, yeah, it just, and, trying to plan 3 or 4 things at once, not asking, hey, how does this sound to you? Again, this is not, not a big deal. And, it's in the little things that I'm starting to understand. Well, I'm starting to understand, I think, what Greta Hauser meant when she said, evil is masked camouflage, and it is often very difficult to recognize. It is a great challenge in one's life to learn to distinguish between good and evil, to see where evil is hidden. Both are close together and look alike. By the way, this is from page 29 of Insights and Wisdom. So here I thought I was doing good. I was all excited, I was inspired, but I was actually a little self absorbed. Trying to make plans with 2 people. It's like have a little bit of a dialogue. I was carried away in my excitement um, and not tuned into this person who had just woken up. So, again, not the end of the world, paying attention. And it's in it's in these little micro moments of making a mistake that we can really start to understand the big picture of why it's so important to pay attention, but also to call ourselves to order. This isn't the first time I've done this, where I get really excited about overexcited about something. And so now that I've brought some awareness to it and said, okay, I don't want to do that, I can keep an eye out for it. I can learn from what just happened. Bruno Groening said, most people don't know anything anymore. They don't know what's true. And so that's a very humbling statement. And I'm humbled this morning. Again, I thought I was doing what was right. I was being excited and inspired, but I was a little over excited and inspired. I didn't know what was true. I thought, "Oh, this is it. This is the plan for today." And this energy of excitement, yes, this is good, when actually it wasn't good. It was a little bit out of order. So, let's reflect on all this. That we're in this school and that it's not always easy to distinguish what's true and what's not true, what's good and what's not good. And yet we're here to learn. We're enrolled in a master's course, becoming a master of life, with Bruno as our helper and our teacher, and I suppose God is the head instructor, the head master of the school. Bruno, one of the professors with tenure. So, welcoming the peaceful quiet. As Bruno said, let calm be holy for human beings. Noticing what you feel, taking in the good. So here's an interesting story. Um, this is from the book Powers of the Spirit, page 64. So Alfred Hosp describes how, in many of the meetings when Bruno was in his body, there were women coming to these meetings who had husbands who were not open to spiritual things and who were really treating their wives unwell. And Alfred says, when one of these women burst into tears and complained about her suffering while emphasizing that she had done everything she could to get her husband to understand, she had begged, entreated, and sworn to him. But he had only classified her as a hysterical woman and laughed at her, meaning this woman had tried to get him interested in spiritual things, like begging him. Again, begged, entreated, and sworn to him. And he had only classified her as a hysterical woman and laughed at her. Then Bruno Groening answered her seriously. Wrong, my dear woman, absolutely wrong. So before I read how Bruno responds, when I read that, I was like, oh, poor woman. Oh my gosh. She has a husband who's, not being kind to her. And here she's tried everything to get him to live a spiritual life. And so I feel compassion, and I still feel compassion. And that's how I would have, probably responded if this person had told me the story. But here we see that Bruno Groening, he knows what he's up to. He knows how to guide people. And here's what he said. Wrong, my dear woman, absolutely wrong. So far, you have not been doing what is right in your family. You can't convince someone only with words, and you certainly can't force them. But there's this lovely saying, silence is golden. Silence is, he looked at the woman questioningly, and she continued hesitantly, golden, and talk is silver. That's how the woman responded. And then Bruno continued, yes, that's how it is. But talk is not always silver. Very often it is worthless chatter, and even the bearer of the evil one. Groening meaningfully nodded his head. He explained this further to the puzzled-looking woman. If you want to convince someone, your husband, for example, about spiritual truths, you must first of all put into practice, without words, the convictions that you yourself have obtained. It is only when the change in your behavior becomes apparent to another person, and he asks why you are now suddenly reacting to him in such an understanding way, then you can gently tell him about the great return. Wow. So the thing is, Bruno Groening didn't start a religion. He didn't come here to give us a belief system. He didn't come here to give us some information, which then we just go pass this information along. He gave us a way of life. And here, and I've done it. Probably everyone who's found Bruno Groening has done it. We get excited about these spiritual truths and we just want to tell people, like, nothing's incurable, or just trust and have faith. The divine power helps and heals. And here Bruno points out that it's not just about having an idea and then communicating this idea. It's about living. It's about living these things. And in this case, the husband, it sounds like, has been treating her unwell, and she kind of treated him unwell back. She kind of tried to force him in a very less than gentle manner to adopt her beliefs and adopt her way of life. And Bruno pointed out, hey, actually, you need to live it. You need to put into practice these ideas. That's the great return, or the great turnaround, or great reversal that Bruno called all of us and all of humanity to live a spiritual life, to live these things, to not just have a mental thought, but to put it into action. Of course, I'm very conscious about this as someone who talks about this. And what I can say is that two things is one is I always try and keep these talks practical, and um, that just because someone can give a good talk doesn't mean that they're living a spiritual life. Like if you, what do I want to say? Well, I think Bruno said it best, or this old German proverb: "Speech is silver and silence is golden." So that's really where. Actually, what I want to say is the further I go on this path, the more and more. Like initially, I thought it was just about having the right information and just nothing is impossible, nothing is incurable. Like I thought that was the whole path, and just receiving, and thought it was just receiving healing energy and being healed. And that's all very good things. And the further I go on this path, what I'm realizing is this is a way of life. This is a moment by moment way of life. Like, I'm not going to become a master of life by giving good talks. And I'm not going to become a master of life by having the right information. I'm going to become a master of life as, wow, that's beautiful. I can't pronounce your last name correctly, but this beautiful Terapia. Is that right? Terapia? No, I don't want to mispronounce your last name. You love and not just talk about love. Couldn't have said it better. So now I'm going to stop talking. Let's really reflect on this. How can we improve and grow as people? Not just taking in new information, that is part of the process. How can we apply these truths, live the principles that Bruno taught? So, for example, this morning I learned a great lesson. When I'm feeling it's okay to be inspired, but when I lose my sense of calm and center, stop. Now, I've talked about that today. Now it's my job to live it. So let's observe the body, taking in the good, noticing what you feel. Being willing to learn and grow. I heard a great prayer. God, I'm willing to be willing. Because sometimes we're not willing to learn and grow. But on this path, we have to be willing to be willing. We're not always open. We're human beings. Sometimes we close down. We do need to ask for help to be open. Be open to being open. Taking in the good. Yes, Bruno called us to have trust in the good, but but that's different than just having a belief, because he also called us to live it, to not just have an idea, but to really live these ideas, to give them life. So I'd like to thank everyone who joined in live. I'd like to thank everyone who's watched this video. Let's close with asking for other people. Please, God, please, Bruno, for those who are near and dear to us, please let this energy flow to them. Please, for the willingness to learn and grow, for recognition of what's good and what's not good. Please, for learning how to pay attention, how to be present. Please help us find the determination and the vigilance to grow and learn. Please help us to embrace this as a school of life. Please, for our own healing, evolution, growth, so that we can help others. Please make us clearer and clearer channels of the love and peace and wisdom of God. To become an instrument of God. Please, for Mother Earth, for every living thing on this planet, and for deeper and deeper faith that the good will prevail. Thank you so much for joining in, everyone. I'll be seeing and feeling you very soon, I hope. Take care. Much love.